everyone. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, along with Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 9 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Another day, another scandal for CNN. Today, Project Veritas, a conservative investigative group, released a video of prominent CNN left-wing contributor Van Jones apparently downplaying the significance of the Russia investigation. Fox News hasn't verified the authenticity of the video, but a man who appears to be Van Jones is heard saying, quote, "The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger." The video was released just a day after Project Veritas put out a separate undercover video of CNN health producer John Bonifeld calling the Russia story BS. This, despite the network's nearly non-stop coverage of the investigation into possible collusion between the Russians and then-candidate Trump's campaign. And that's not all. Yesterday, we told you how 3 CNN journalists resigned over a retracted article that said a Trump advisor was under investigation for ties to a Russian investment fund. The New York Post is reporting that CNN only retracted the article after it was threatened with legal action. Take a listen to how radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh is reacting.
Could Donald Trump be the end of CNN? What a legacy that would be. I think that's what the Trump administration is doing with many in the media. They're like cats. He's got this little red laser light and is just causing them to make fools of themselves, and everybody's laughing at them as they're crashing into walls and sofa and the floor. And that's what little Jim Acosta had happen to him yesterday.
All right, so the news, the developments, yet another layer to the CNN problems, a network under siege. Greg, your thoughts?
Well, it's tempting to rip CNN to shreds, given the pleasure they took in our travails. Or every Sunday, that human thumb, Brian Stelter, would go off on us, and it's nothing. It's not a nothing burger; it's a nothing caviar. I will defend Van Jones in the sense that I don't think he was ever on the Russian thing. The narrative of the network, definitely they're pushing this, but he always seemed more measured of the crew, that he kind of knew. So I don't think he's being a hypocrite. And so I have to praise him for being consistent off camera and on camera, because like I said, this will happen to us. If you aren't consistent on camera and off camera, and you say you're for something in the green room and you're against it when you're here, you deserve to be called out. I don't think that happened to Van Jones. One other point. I find it interesting how the media loves this kind of stuff when they aren't the target. Decades of consumer journalism were born from 60 Minutes. Every local TV news station had a consumer reporter that would dog some poor guy at a supermarket because he sold milk past the sell date. And it was like, you know, it was just ridiculous and absurd until then, you know, it happens to them, and then it's like, I hate this.
All right, well, CNN's doing a pretty good job of kind of doing themselves, and with this, Dana, a lot of people in the work, they're concerned about, you know, credibility, because this is a blow in terms of a news organization. You want your viewers to trust you, and that you're going to, in fact, you know, deliver the news and have accurate sources. It's what, you know, we all try to do and strive to do.
Well, certainly, and I think that one of the reasons they're upset is because I would say probably 98% of the people at CNN do try to do that. I mean, they do a lot of original reporting, right? They're all over the world. They're trying to do something. They did something terribly wrong. They apologized for it. They fired 3 people, whether it was because on the merits of the journalistic integrity or because they were worried about a lawsuit. And the threat of it, that's actually kind of interesting. I'd love to learn a little bit more about that. But I also think about Van Jones. You know, we just showed a clip of him within the last 2 weeks when he was at that big Democratic convention meeting where he basically was saying to all of them, like, stop on the Russia thing because we are going to lose. We are ceding the policy ground. While everyone's going to be talking about health care or helping the working class, we're all talking about Russia, and you just burned $1 billion on an election, and you didn't actually help us advance the ball. So I think he is actually being consistent. And it's kind of a bummer that you can't feel like you have any privacy whatsoever in any of your conversations. But I guess for him, I do think that he has been consistent. All
right. So what do you make of this latest development with Van Jones? Do you agree with Greg that he was never really one that was out in front on Russia?
I'm sure you could find some tape of Van Jones saying some pretty horrific things about Trump and Russia. So I'll let the people on the internet find those and then embarrass CNN.
And get back to you in 2 minutes.
Exactly. Trump reminds me of Roadrunner. So he runs really fast, and then CNN's Wile E. Coyote. So Wile E. Coyote chases Roadrunner over the edge of a cliff, and then all of a sudden, Wile E. Coyote looks down, and there's nothing underneath. That's CNN right now.
Splat.
Splat. And they hit the pavement, and then
Splat
they try
News
again. But Trump has this effect on people. You know, Rush was talking about the laser beam, and I've said it before that Trump brings out the best in people and the worst in people. Right now, he's bringing out the worst in CNN. Not only are they fake news, they're very fake news. And it's hard to defend your integrity when you're firing 3 people, when some of your best and brightest analysts, put that in quotations, are saying something that is directly opposite from what your network has been pushing for the last couple months. They've had a rough stretch. Kathy Griffin, Reza Aslan, the guy that called Trump a vulgarity.
He's the worst.
He's the worst of the worst. They had to retract that whole story about the Comey memo and what he was going to say during the hearing. So they're in for a little rough stretch right now,
run.
courtesy of James O'Keefe. And, you know, everybody has to watch what they say because you never know when a camera's going to be there.
All right. Juan, hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
So I just think this is overreaction. I mean, I'm amazed that anybody thinking that the media doesn't make mistakes. Gee, welcome. The media makes mistakes all the time. It's just like talking to your friends on Facebook or anywhere else.
That wasn't this. These are seasoned
No, I'm telling you, these are very good reporters. They made a mistake. And guess what? We know networks and we know newspapers that have had to retract stories and haven't fired people and haven't apologized. But guess what? These guys did it. I work for the Washington Post. I work for NPR. I work for Fox. Everybody makes mistakes. I don't think this is
Juan,
news.
I'm just
But I'm going to tell you something else.
If
Hang
this
on, let me
wasn't a
finish,
mistake.
Kimberly.
I know
Give me
enough
a
about
shot.
the situation.
This was a
All right, go
mistake.
ahead.
But let me just say to you, when I look at the reality of Trump putting up fake Time magazine covers, I think, oh, fake news. When I hear about Trump saying Obama was spying on him while the campaign, and he can't prove it, I think fake news. When he says, you know, guess what? I've got tapes on Jim Comey, and there's no such thing, I think fake news.
Okay,
So
everything you just said, Juan, was fake news.
Yes, that's right.
Every single
Trump.
thing.
And so
what are you talking about, Time magazine covers?
Oh.
First of all, and Trump never said he has tapes on Comey. He said,
what
hope
did he
there
say?
better
He
not be
insinuated-
tapes.
I hope there better not be. That
You guys fell
Go
for
ahead
it
and play your work
and chase that rabbit for 3 weeks.
Everybody watching can see right
not a
through
word
you.
No, but he's
You're
telling
an
the
invisible
truth,
man
Juan.
at the moment.
He said, I hope there aren't tapes,
Oh, yeah.
which created all of this stuff.
yeah,
but
yeah.
you can't tell the difference between that, Juan. You can't mock that.
I'm mocking it because guess what? He was trying to either bully or intimidate Greg. He was playing word games, and apparently he doesn't have the tape.
The
Maybe
media
now
is the
he
biggest
doesn't.
bully out there, Juan.
Right.
If you
Oh, the
fell
media
for
They've
that,
been calling
he
Trump
won.
names, trying to get him impeached.
I see.
Finally, Trump hits the bully back in the face, and the bully doesn't know what to do anymore.
is that it?
That's what's happening right now.
That's
Right.
really what's
and
happening.
by the way, when people make an innocent mistake versus willful, deliberate, intentional decision to put forth a story that they know they didn't have the evidence or the facts to back up because it was untrue, then you get fired for an innocent mistake. You don't lose your job. 3 people
see.
that have been there for a long
You know,
I am telling you,
look at-
you're going to
look
go
at
out on a
conservative
branch and it's
media.
going to snap off. 'cause
Okay,
This is,
Kimberly, look at conservative media and the
It's a serious
Seth Rich
situation.
story.
Yeah.
Do you think conservative media is out there firing people because of this? No, I don't think so. I think they said, you know, all right, so maybe we made a mistake. Let's move on. Fine. Everybody makes mistakes. This is not
Again, this is
some
not a
huge
mistake.
conspiracy.
Legally, it's not a mistake.
To me, the big story here,
You know the
Kimberly, is
backstory
this.
on it.
Right now, people are trying in the conservative media to put CNN back on its heel and underplay the idea that there's any legitimacy to this Trump investigation.
Poor CNN,
and the
Juan.
Trump
We should really
campaign's
feel bad for
relationship to Russia.
CNN.
No, it's fine. I
Did
agree.
whatever the President Obama wanted for the last 8 years, then all of a sudden they try to get Trump out of office.
No.
They're making mistakes left and right. We call them out, and then
Yeah.
they're saying, woe is me. Come on,
No,
Juan.
I'm not
It's a
saying woe
tough
is me.
business.
You know what?
CNN has to toughen up
You know
and
what?
stop acting like everybody has to feel sorry for them.
Nobody's feeling sorry for them, but I think what Greg said
Ever
right
seen
off the
Brian
top.
Stelter on Twitter? He's acting like they're the biggest victims out there.
Well, and
No,
he
but I
had
think
to-
they're bullied.
And he had to essentially make a retraction as well when they tried to push back on the stories. Well, we don't know if it's true, et cetera. And he had to come
I
forward
just think
again
what
and
you
clean
said
it
at the
up.
top was right. They go after people like Fox all the time. They delight
Yeah.
whenever we have troubles. So, okay, but let's not go over.
Yeah, but the other thing I said, it's not about Van Jones. It's about the narrative. What CNN did, which is bigger than all of this,
Right.
was they chased a narrative instead of the facts. They wanted they couldn't find the facts.
Right.
So they ran with the story anyway. And I get it. They did it for ratings. Trump delivers ratings. It's why all the networks are going up.
Oh, yeah.
But the interesting thing about Fox News is we aren't chasing ratings. Trump just brings them. And if you just cover the news, if you just cover what Donald Trump is doing, your ratings will be fine. You don't have to create a story that doesn't exist.
So that's not a mistake.
Yeah.
That is willful and intentional choice to push a story and a narrative, regardless if there are facts to support it. Those are fireable offenses.
Well, no one's just, they got fired.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying this is not a mistake. A mistake is like, okay, by accident, I took a bite of Jesse's sandwich because I thought it was mine.
You wouldn't do that.
How dare you?
You're right. I'd eat the whole thing.
Juan, you know what you want?
Nobody says I'm going to do something to get fired.
Juan, you
No,
know what this
not
is
to
like?
get
This is
fired.
like during the
Wasn't
subprime mortgage crisis. You have J.P. Morgan or whoever pushing all these phony loans, and you have one of their biggest executives caught on tape saying, you know what? These loans are bogus. They're bogus. And their entire company's pushing subprime loans. This is what happened here.
No,
All right, Dana, I
it's
wanna
not.
ask
The
you a
entire
question.
company, all of CNN is bogus now?
No.
Juan, did you understand my analogy?
Yeah, but I mean, they're not all.
I'm
well,
impressed
It was a
with
good
that.
analogy.
I thought it was pretty good.
And I do analogies well. I think it was a good one.
Thank
Dana,
you.
here's the big question. They've had obviously a bad run with all of these things that they've done and the kind of, hopefully they learn, you grow from it, you move forward. However, what do they do as a network in terms of like communicating to their viewers, the people, so that they don't lose viewership? How do they get themselves out of this kind of PR mess or crisis?
Well, I'm not really in the business of helping CNN get more viewers.
Okay, say something.
But I would say one of the things
Tell
that
them to
they've
do
done.
the opposite thing.
That's what I mean, opposite
One of the
thing.
things they did is that they have not pushed back or retaliated in any way against the people who have been in these videos. So they're saying, look, diversity of opinion is important to us. It's okay if people in the newsroom have lots of different opinions. Like in that video, the first one that we showed yesterday, the young man is saying that what he thought was more important as a story was climate change. And he says that he was frustrated because Zucker said, no, go back to Russia. And I think that Zucker, whether he was making a business decision or wanted to get back on the preferred narrative, I don't know. But they're in a new look. I fight with the producers every day about 100 stories that are in the National Review and Weekly Standard.
But we can't do dog stories in every block, Dana.
I sent a really
one
good
more
one
thing.
about what's happening in Austin and Uber. I sent that this morning at 6:30.
That was very
crickets.
interesting.
So there's lots of different opinions, and I think that look, when you're a 24/7 news channel, you have to put product on the air every minute of the day, and you just have to do better. But I think that we all wake up every day, we excited about our jobs, and we all want to do a good job.
Right.
So I don't think that's anything. I don't think that's any different over there. But I guess they try to have to keep their employees solid first.
Right, but the problem is if they were chasing ratings regarding Russia collusion, which we've seen on MSNBC.
If that's true,
and
then it bit him in the rear end.
Well, there you go.
Watch your mouth.
Wow, never heard you talk like
This
that.
is a racy show. Okay, coming up, why is the mainstream media fawning over a reporter from Playboy? Oh, nice block. Greg explains what the heck is going on directly ahead.